Hi everyone, it's Jason with Rubi-Red. In this video I'm going to show you guys how I personally remove my doors off of my Jeep. There are probably about 100 videos on YouTube on how to do this, but everyone goes through different methods and different steps. This is how I do it, and this is what works for me. In addition to that, I'm going to show you guys how I install my DV8 Tube Doors, which are being held here by the Hook Road door cart, and it holds pretty much all my doors. I already uninstalled 2 of my doors, and they're laying here along with the DV8 doors. So I'm going to show you guys on how to do the other 2 doors, the front and back. I'm going to place the link down here, and if you guys want to buy this door cart, it's good stuff. Let's get to it. Alright, so the tools that we're going to be using for this is a T40 Torx bit, and that's going to be for the door stop. And we're going to use for the door hinges a T50 Torx bit, and then last but not least we'll be using this 13mm socket for applying the DV8 doors. Alright, first things first, we're going to remove our DV8 door just to make life a bit easier. You'll see why. Now, the reason for that is because you want to just remove the door. That way, when you take the actual Jeep door, you're just going to plop it right on here. You don't have to worry about, oh, let me put this door down, let me get the other door. You got the hinges loose. Good to go. Alright, now it's time to get to work. We're going to take our T50 Torx bit, and we're just going to start unscrewing. Now, let me also mention, it's much easier to get this done, again, in my opinion, if you have this extension, and you see how that helps out in a second. Once the bolt gets loose enough where there's no resistance, just take this little grip and just start unscrewing it by hand. And just like that, your bolt is out. So repeat the same process for the bottom, then we'll move on to the next step. Now, for the JL, what they did with these is they have dedicated spots for your door hinge screws, and that's where we're putting them. Alright, you can totally swing the door open when you take those screws out, so that's totally safe. So basically, you just open the door, and there's this little plastic panel here. All you do is really pull out. It's really easy. You pull right out. Alright, we'll put this aside, get it out the way a little bit. And your next step is, there's a wiring harness right here. Kind of hard to see, but it's a wiring harness. There's a tab here. You push the tab in and you just pull down, and there goes the wiring harness. Alright, so also you have here is pretty much like to prevent your door from swinging all the way out. So the easiest way to take this thing out is to give yourself some slack. See how this is just, this nylon is just here. So to give yourself slack, just close the door just a bit, about an inch or 2, and you give yourself enough slack to just pop it right out. Alright, so there it goes right there. Alright, so you're going to take this wiring harness and you're just going to tuck it right inside the door, and that pretty much secures it. Alright, your next step is to take this T40 Torx bit, and we're going to jam it here, and you're just going to unscrew the door stop. Now with this screw, it's actually a pretty long screw compared to some, so we're just going to put that away for now. And pretty much your entire door assembly is disassembled. Alright, here comes the fun part, actually removing the door. The best way to do it. And take your right hand and grip it here. Make sure you have a good feel of it. Actually, you're going to grip here. And then you're going to take your left hand and you're going to lift from the bottom. That way it's easier just for you to lift up, and it gives you a lot more leverage. Alright? And once I removed my door, I walked it straight over to my door cart, and there are mock door hinges here, and you just plop it right on there, and just like that, your door is secured. Here it is, DV8 Tube Doors. These doors are super light, so this is very easy to do. Just line up the hinges. Not so easy to do, well, not as easy to do with the actual doors because they're a lot heavier than these. Alright, the next thing I like to do is, remember that wiring harness with the nylon on the stock door? Well, this doesn't have a wiring harness, but it does have the nylon to secure the door in the event that it swings all the way open. So once I throw it on the hinges, the next thing I like to do, just for safety's sake, is plop it right on there. Alright, next thing I like to do is I like to actually shut the door and hear it click. That way you know that the mechanism is actually lined up. Then you take your bolts here, and this is where the 13mm socket comes in. Just hand tighten these. Grab your 13mm socket and go to work. And you don't have to really overly tighten these, just as much as they're snug, and you're good to go. Removing the front doors is a little bit more difficult just because these doors tend to be heavier than the rear doors. Granted, they're bigger. Other than that, it's the same exact thing. It's a slight difference removing the wiring harness, and we'll get to that soon. Alright, as I said, it's relatively the same method to remove the front door. The only subtle differences that you're going to see is when you remove your plastic panel, it's just going to pull straight towards you. And that's pretty much it. Alright, so with this wiring harness here, this is where it becomes a little bit more different than the rear. So there is a red tab right in the middle. You lift that tab up, and then there is another tab below this harness here, and what you're going to do is you're going to push in, and at the same time while you're pushing in, you're going to take either your thumb or your index finger, whatever works best for you, and this white plastic piece, you're just going to pull up. As you're pulling up, it's automatically disengaging the wiring harness. So pushing the tab here and then pull up, and as you continue to pull up, it removes the wiring harness, drops it down a little bit, and literally you just pull it right out. Everything else is the exact same. Alright, as I said before, the front door is much heavier than the rear doors. I feel like the easiest way to do this, as you can see my height here comes into play, the easiest way to do this is to grab equally with both hands on the middle of the door basically, and then from there just lift up. Just use your legs and upper body strength and you'll be fine. Alright, so we're going to use the same method to install DV8 tube doors, and then we're good to go. Alright guys, so that's it. Thanks for watching. I'm going to also put a link for the DV8 doors if you guys are interested in purchasing those. They are awesome. I highly recommend them, and they're definitely worth the price. So take a look at those, and thanks for watching again.